Hey folks, it's Joe Hiker here, and I just got back from an awesome overnight hike up in the North Georgia foothills. I started out at Hightower Gap and hiked all the way to the summit of Springer Mountain. Springer Mountain is the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail, so those thru hikers who are attempting to go from the south to the north and hike the entire Appalachian Trail start at Springer Mountain. Hikers that are coming up from Maine on Mount Katahdin end their thru hike at Springer Mountain. So it's definitely one of the most interesting places on the Appalachian Trail, and I'm about to show you it. This video starts out with me setting up camp just below the summit of Springer Mountain, walking up to take in the amazing views, and then walking back to my camp to get some food, settle in, and then I show you guys how I make a campfire when I'm spending a night on the Appalachian Trail. So stay tuned. I just set up my tent and I'm walking back to the trail. The campsites and the privy are on a side trail, and I want to get to the summit so I can see the view. So that's where I'm going now. To make a fire tonight, and one of the things you have to do is find a tree that is dead, and you can see this tree looks pretty dead. It doesn't have any leaves on it, doesn't have any of these little buds here. You can see in the foreground, these are the parts of the tree that would bloom and sprout leaves if the tree is alive, and this tree behind it here in the middle is dead. So that's good to use. You might have to use a live tree if you were going to die, but I am not going to die, and if everybody used harvested live wood, it would kind of be ugly, so it's better to take the dead stuff. I have a saw with me, but I just want to try to use this knife like a survival knife and actually cut down some wood. So I'm just chopping at it diagonally and then chipping out the slices that I make in it. There you go. That wasn't so bad. Now I have to drag it back to my camp. Here you can see the tent is guyed out. G-U-Y-E-D. I'll spell check myself when I get home. But every tent's going to have a different cut of rain fly, so it's going to look differently, but basically you just want to keep the rain fly off of the tent. Don't let it touch the tent to the extent possible if you know you're in for some bad weather, because I've learned that the hard way. If you've got it flapping around, you think it's enough to just let it cover the tent, loosely, it's just going to whip around and sling water inside your tent. So you might already know that because you're not someone who has to make a mistake first to learn things like I am. This trip's MRE is vegetable crumbles with pasta in taco style sauce. So I'll be honest, that seems like they just threw some things together and made a meal. I don't think you typically eat a taco pasta, but you know, it could be good. Sometimes you think something's not going to be good, and then it turns out to be really good. The side item, it doesn't come with a hot side item, but we've got some diced pears and heavy syrup. Can't remember the last time I've had a pear. Some chunky peanut butter. Jalapeno cashews. That seems tasty. And some crackers. I've had a lot of these crackers, you know. And then some Twizzlers. Look at that. Twizzlers. They say that the candies in the MREs are one of the first things that can go bad, just because they're not, you know, designed like the other MRE stuff is, but I don't know how these could be that bad. I don't know if I mentioned it, but we also have a chocolate chip cookie. And then for dessert, we've got a little French vanilla cappuccino. I want to make a campfire using the wood that I harvested, and I want to drink this cappuccino next to a nice campfire. It is windy out, so I'm not sure how the campfire is going to work, but I'll still drink this for sure. So the actual MRE entree, I've got it folded, crumpled down inside of its bag in some water here that's boiling on my camp stove. I'm bringing out like a big jumbo thing of butane. I want to get a smaller one, but when I went to Academy Sports, all they had was the bigger one. It's just, that's okay. I'm not even remotely carrying efficiently in terms of weight. I'm carrying all kinds of stuff. Here are the pears. You know, I don't know how they look to you, but they taste delicious. They're very flavorful. I wolfed down those cashews, the jalapeno cashews, because I was so hungry, but those were good too. They're very spicy, but they tasted fresh as well. So the veggie crumbles with pasta with taco sauce is very good. It's very spicy. It came with this stuff, salsa del sol, which is a hot sauce, chili lime flavored, and it's very good too. When the MREs say that they're hot, you know, like spicy, they're spicy. I mean, they definitely don't misrepresent the spiciness. I got some food. Now I want to make a fire. I'm trying to keep the camera out of the wind and show you, but basically I'm getting a bunch of kindling here. And these rat nest looking things are some dried grass that I found that I think will do pretty well for making the fire. It is cold and windy out, so I could just get in my sleeping bag and be warm, but I want to try to make a fire just because I haven't done it in a while, and it's good to have the skills. I used that folding saw to break down a lot of this wood, and it did a heck of a job. I was very impressed with it, and I got a pretty good workout too, which gives me hope that if I had to make a fire because my gear was soaked and I was cold, that exertion would be able to give me some internal warmth to tide me over until I was actually able to get the fire online. Over here, I've got some wood that I need to break down further because I need some intermediary size wood. I can't just go from twigs to this big fuel type size log here. I need something the size of my finger, my thumb, that's gonna ignite and get some embers going after those twigs and those dried grass leaves ignite. Alright, so I've got this grass nest here with a cotton ball on it that's soaked in Vaseline, so let's see if we can get something going. So I've spent probably the last 30 minutes getting fuel on the fire to get into the state where I can burn these bigger logs, but this is a hungry fire, and you know, I'm not Joe Fire Maker, so I don't necessarily know the exact size of fire for maximum longevity, but I don't need the fire all night, so I'm just going to enjoy it now. But I had to process more wood just to get wood that was the right thickness so that it would combust. And I've got a nice bed of coals going here. Even these big fuel logs are burning. So that dead tree, even though it had been dead for a while, and it had some splits in it where I did see some water got into it, but it's burning for sure. So you don't want to use, this is just like wood that was at the campsite, and I've tried to use that, but it doesn't generally work very well because it's been there for you don't know how long, and it's not upright. It's important that the wood you harvest be upright, because otherwise it's going to be logged with water and everything. Yeah, this is not ideal conditions for a fire. You can see the wind here. It does provide some warmth if I really huddle against it. The more I think about it, you know, you really don't want to have to make a fire. A fire is really an emergency option, and you know, or enjoyment, in which case you're not relying on it to sustain yourself. You just want to maybe get a little bit of warmth off of it and enjoy it, right? It's relaxing, it's fun to be outside, have a fire. But relying on a fire in a survival situation, you know, you can't make it fast. If you do make it fast, it's not going to have enough fuel. You're going to have to constantly add fuel to it. Even this, I mean, how long is this going to last here? Like another hour? You know, and by the end of that, it's not going to be putting out nearly as much warmth. And I honestly got more warmth working very hard to get this wood process than the fire gave me. You might wonder, hey Joe, what knife is that? This is my Trailmaster by Cold Steel, and it is an outlandish knife. I mean, it's a Bowie knife. It's got the brass handguard, and you can see here it's got the Bowie shape with the swedge, the drop point or the clip point, and I love this thing. I mean, it is big and mean, but it's also really heavy, but it just dominates. It just dominates. It dominated that tree you saw earlier. It dominated those logs that I cut up. If I have the weight, if I have the actual ability to carry a knife this big, it rocks. I mean, having a huge knife, it does so much that a little knife doesn't. You know, a lot of the bushcrafters that you can see on YouTube, they like little knives, and they're good, and they know they're very skillful, and they bring other tools with them, I think, like a folding saw and whatnot. But man, this thing is just a beast. It dominated alongside the Sven saw, SVEN saw. This thing is great. It just blew through that tree that I cut down and turned it into little bite-sized fire nuggets, as you can see. This is the second knife I brought out with me, a smaller knife. It's the Bushcraft Black by Moriniv.
I brought this one out because it's thinner, and that makes it easier to split wood down into thinner pieces, given that you need kind of a spectrum of sizes of wood in order to get the fire going to the point where you can just use big logs to keep it going. This is a great knife. It's extremely sharp. I think this is probably the sharpest knife that I've ever bought. It retains an edge very well too, and I've actually used this to baton. Here you can see the difference in thickness between the two blades. Springer Mountain, roof of Georgia. I guess technically Blood Mountain would be the roof if anybody's over there tonight, but if they're not, then I'm the highest man in Georgia right now. Just got up the second day. Springer Mountain. You can see this ice. This was actually on the rainfly, my tent. So you can see here my rainfly is sagging a little bit. That's probably why all this ice collected. You can see more here. I'll give you a view when I get out, but the freezing rain obviously collected in sheets and froze on the tent, but it was able to handle it. It didn't bow or wasn't compromised in any way, so that's good. Here you can see some more of the freezing rain. It's just misting out right now, but it coated everything. Going out to get some water. And you can see it's pretty gnarly.